Hello and welcome to my little video about how to read a Western astrology chart. Please note that this is not actually going to be about interpreting a Western astrology chart. That is quite a big and complex topic that would take way more than just one short, quick little video here. What it's going to really be more is the technical nuts and bolts of what you need to know in order to look at a chart wheel and understand what's going on. So the different symbols for the planets and the signs and how the houses are split up, that kind of thing. So before we get started, let me go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Rebecca Dean, and I'm both a traditional Western and Vedic astrologer. And you can find out more about me and my work at RebeccaDean.com. That's REBECCAH Dean, like JamesDean.com, as well as at crossroadsastrology.substack.com. That's where I write about lots of different posts about both traditional Western and Vedic astrology. So it'd be great to see you there if you wanted to swing by. If you're watching this on video, I'll go ahead and put the links to both of those places below the video for you to check out. So let's just go ahead and get started. I think, first of all, it's important to maybe mention, if you don't know, that this chart, so this particular one is one that I just cast a couple of hours ago here at my location in Berlin, Germany. This is how any sort of chart is going to look in Western astrology, more or less, with some variations, obviously, depending on when you cast it. And that's going to be either, if it's really your own natal chart, the natal chart of a friend, when a company was founded, the chart's going to look like this. The moment you had your lunch today, the chart's going to look like this. Because basically what this whole little chart is just one moment in time that was captured in this little technical, very mathematical wheel. So that is an important thing to know, to sort of demystify it. This is really just one moment in time. And how this moment in time, whenever it is always split up, is into 12 different houses. This is actually one of the easy parts of reading a Western astrology chart. As far as I know, I don't think I've seen any software where they don't do this. They always put the little numbers here for the houses. So we have 1, 2, the second house, third house, fourth house, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th is always going to be listed there for you. It makes it pretty easy, and it's always going to go counterclockwise. I'm just going to mention, I'm not going to mention all of the different points in the chart, because then I'm going to end up having a way longer video than I wanted to, because there would be a lot to talk about. But there is one important point here, and that is this little point here on this particular software. It's called Astro for Mac. You can see this little arrow here, and that is the ascendant or rising line, which is always going to be, depending on which house system you use, it's always going to be somewhere in the first house. And this line is very, very important, because it actually is the line of the sign that was on the eastern horizon at the time that the chart was cast. Wow, this time it was actually at 0 degrees 31 of Capricorn, so it just had turned into Capricorn here. And yeah, and so if you know anything about astrology or your own chart, you've heard words like rising sign, ascendant, anything like that is always going to be describing this. It's going to be the sign that was on the eastern horizon, and then once you get more technical into it, the exact degrees of that sign. So a very powerful point in the chart that really describes, if it's for yourself, your entrance into the world, or any other exact moment when a sign was rising, and what that might mean depending on yeah, I'm going to start getting too complex. I'm going to stop now. It's quite easy to get very, very complex with astrology. In case you think astrology is not a technical art, then you'll be in for learning quite a bit as you continue with me here, because there's a lot, lots and lots of details to learn. But let's keep it simple. Let's just take a look. So in this particular moment in time, this is where the planets were in these houses. And again, I'm giving you a little bit of a hint here that this one is the sign of Capricorn. So Capricorn was on the eastern horizon. And let's just go ahead and go through each of the symbols and then find out what they mean in, or what planets they're signifying. So we'll start first with the planets and then the signs after that. So in this case here, we have this little guy with his arms up screaming, help. And that is the planet Pluto. Okay. Pluto is the symbol. That's the symbol for Pluto. If you are in Europe, or if you're also using astro.com, which I believe is based in Switzerland, then the symbol is going to be a bit different for Pluto. For whatever reason, Europeans like, I'll just show you here, they like to just use a big P with a little line here. Okay, so if you're using any sort of a European software, that's what Pluto is going to look like instead of this distressed little stick person here. I don't really know exactly why, but just so you know, that's the only one that is done a little bit different depending on where you are in the world. Okay, so the next one here, it looks a little bit like a shepherd's crook is what I've always thought. This guy here is our good old friend Saturn. You see this? Let's see if I can move this a little bit. Oh, I can't seem to do it. All right, you're going to have to just be able to read that. So Saturn is the one for this symbol here. Okay, so here we have Saturn, and this guy here, I'll give you a hint. It looks like a trident for the god of the sea. Who's the god of the sea? And for the Romans, Neptune. Okay, so you're gonna, has to be a way to move this up. Ah, good. So here we go. This is Neptune, the symbol with the little trident. Okay, I'm gonna not mention this. I don't actually use this point. I've just been too lazy to figure out how to take it out of my software. But this one, the little upside down key, some astrologers do use it in their readings. And this is for the asteroid Chiron. So again, since I don't use it, I'm just not going to go ahead and write that out. But if you do use that or would like to use it, that would be the symbol you would need for Chiron. Okay. This one here is a little right side up shoe, horseshoe, is quite a controversy depending on what kind of astrology you do. I personally, since I do all of my natal chart readings are now Vedic astrology readings, then I'll give you the name you would have for this guy here. The interpretation is also quite different, but again, I don't want to get too complicated, so I'll just give you the name for now. This little horseshoe, upright horseshoe guy is either the North Node, or in Vedic astrology, Rahu. Okay, so there's that guy there. Okay, this little fancy looking 4 here is for quite a nice planet, everybody's good pal, and that's for the planet Jupiter. We've got Jupiter here. This little wrecking ball, or I never thought about that. That's actually perfect for this planet. Looks even like a wrecking ball, or like something that's going to wreak havoc. And that is for Uranus. So that this is for Uranus. Get a little bit closer here. Okay. I think this one probably is pretty obvious. It's used in other cases besides just astrology as well, of course. It's the little looking glass for the lovely lady here. And that is, of course, for Venus. Okay, Venus with little horns on her head, being a mischievous little prankster, is Mercury. And this actually, I'm also not going to write it out because I also personally don't use this in my readings very much. Some astrologers do, but it's also not as common as these other ones, which you definitely do need to learn. And this is the Black Lilith, which is the moon's apogee point. I do leave this in here because whenever a planet is really quite close to this point, you know that it's very slow in speed. And that's going to be important depending on what kind of astrology you are. Natal astrology, not as much, but something like horary, which is a divinatory type of astrology, or astrological magic, which are the two types of ways that I use Western astrology these days, then you do definitely need to know the speed of the planet. But that's getting a little bit too advanced. So, and again, like it's not a standard thing that everybody uses, so I'll leave it out for now. This guy here, I think, should be pretty straightforward. It looks already like what it is. This, of course, is the sun here. Okay. And this one, I think, is also used quite standard. It's the shield, and the sword is, of course, for the god of war, for Mars. Okay, and this symbol here, so the upside down horseshoe is the sour node, no, the south node, or in Vedic astrology, K2. Okay, and then this last one here is also pretty obvious, I think. Everybody knows the symbol for this, and that is, of course, the moon. Okay. All right, and yeah, it's not really something I need to get into here, but as you can see, this would be a more advanced thing to be worrying about. But you can see in each case here how many degrees each of these planets are in, as well as the different cusps that are on the houses here. And just so you know, oh God, I'm going to get complex again, but this is pretty easy just to mention that each sign always has 30 degrees. So for example, here the moon is just about to change out of Scorpio and to go into Sagittarius, okay? All right, so now let's move on to the signs. So as I already mentioned, if you remember from the beginning of this video, this little guy here, it's for the sea goat god. I'm not really sure why the symbol looks like this, but or maybe let's do it in a different color so it doesn't look just like the planets. I'll do this in blue. This is for Capricorn. So if you see this symbol anywhere in a chart, whether if it's by the houses or by a planet, then you know that you're dealing with the sign of Capricorn, okay? Now, everything always just goes in order for how the planets go now. But if you don't know that order, then I will help you out here. Get them all labeled, nice and labeled. The next one is for the water bearer. It looks either like, I always think like electricity on its side, or like water. And that's, of course, good old Aquarius, my own personal favorite sign, since I have a lot of it in my chart. Okay, the next one in order is the sign. It always symbolizes two fish swimming in different directions. I always think this symbol looks a little bit like an H, or even like little two fish kissing, coming together and kissing. And that's going to be always the sign for Pisces. Okay, the ram is the symbol for this guy, which is what his little symbol looks like. Symbol, saying lots of symbols. And that's for Aries. Aries is going to be that little symbol of the ram. The next sign also looks quite a bit like the animal that it represents, which is the bull. And that's, of course, going to be Taurus. The next sign in the zodiac is the twins. And you have this little, I don't know, what is it, like little column or something to describe that. And that's going to be the symbol for Gemini. Okay, and now you have the, I guess, looks also like fish, or the symbol for 69. And that's going to be Cancer always. And this one also looks a little bit like a lion's head with its proud mane. And that's going to be the symbol that you're always going to see for Leo. And here. after Leo always comes the Virgin of the Wheat. Looks like a little M with her arm out on the side, and that's Virgo. Okay. And after Virgo is always the scales, and it looks a tiny bit like a scale, this little symbol here, and that's going to be Libra. And the last, but certainly not least, you wouldn't want to leave this sign least, is the little sting in the tail here on the M, and that is for the sign of Scorpio. Okay. All right, so that's the names of all the symbols and names for all the planets and the signs. Again, I could say a million other things about this chart, but I want to stop myself and not get this to make this become overly complex. One thing that I will mention here without telling you too much about what it means is when you see this here with all these little symbols and lines, that's where you're going to see the aspects that the planets are making to each other. So it's a visual of that. There's also quite a bit more that you can see, obviously, as well. This is a simplified version of the chart. Let me see, maybe if I can pull up. Oh, wait, I'm gonna stop doing that. Okay, I can show you actually what. Wait, no, not here. Right, so this, for example, would be getting rid of all this stuff, but these are all lots of other things that you can see. So again, complexity without end, which is astrology by be thy name. So, okay, let's do, what are we going to do now? Let's maybe do a totally new chart. Maybe I'll do a little quiz for you now. I've got to first get rid of all this stuff. Wait, no, I'm going to stop share and then start share again. Right. Okay, now let's change the house system here. Here, this is also all the different houses you can look at. And believe me, there is lots and lots of fights about which one's the best. That's another topic that I also don't want to get into here. We'll go for Placidus this time. No, that's too easy. Let's do it maybe for tomorrow. Okay, so let's do, what, it's the same again. We gotta do another hour. I want to make this more challenging for you guys. Let's do 19. Okay, here we have something completely different. So my question to you is, what is the sign here that is rising? So you see this little bull as a slight hint. Okay, I'm assuming everyone got this because it's not too complex. This, of course, is Taurus. Okay, let me see what else we have here. So this is Venus down here. I'm not going to insult you guys by assuming you wouldn't know that. Let's see. Can you tell me what sign is Leo? All right, I gave that one away. Let's give you another easy one here then. So this is Mars, quite easy. What sign is Mars in? So you can see it here and also here. It's at 22 degrees 16 of this sign. Which one is it? The scales, Libra. Okay. Okay, let me see. And what about here? This actually is an important point. It's called the MC or midheaven. It talks a lot about your place in the world, your profession, your reputation, that kind of thing. And it happens to be in 12 degrees 10 of what sign here? I don't know. Is that copyrighted? I hope not. Capricorn. All right, one more that's slightly more challenging. What about this little horseshoe? How about the Vedic name for this little horseshoe here. What is he called? The right side up one, it's the notorious Rahu. And what sign is Rahu now in at least in the Western charts? It's the little ram guy. So he's in Aries. Okay. Just one last question. What sign is Mercury in? It's a very good sign for Mercury. Where is Mercury? What house is Mercury in? What sign is he in? Okay. Right here, Mercury is in Virgo. All right, I think that's enough for what I wanted to be quite just a quick and easygoing beginner video for how to read a chart. I'm going to be posting later how to read Vedic charts. There's actually 3 different versions. There's the North Indian, the South Indian, and the East Indian, which all have some variations. I think in some ways they're more challenging to read than a Western chart, and in some ways easier, but I'll get into that more. So if you'd like to, when I post those videos, so if you'd like to know about that as well, then please either subscribe to my YouTube channel here, or swing by, what is it again? crossroadsastrology.substack.com and subscribe, and I will be posting those videos there as well. And in the meantime, please, if there's anything in particular you're interested in knowing about traditional Western astrology or Vedic astrology, feel free to drop me a line in the chat. I really would like to know what kind of content people are interested in learning. So it would be great to know if you could do that. I would be most appreciated. And yes, I'll talk to you later and hope you're doing well. All right, bye-bye.